Works Committee, City of Brainerd, September 7th, 2021 at 7 p.m. And we have 7 items on the agenda tonight, 5 of which are event applications, and a couple other discussions. But first item is to approve the event street closure application for the Brainerd Fire Department open house. Is there anything you want to fill us in on this, Paul?
Just a couple things. So this one is an annual event. They've done this since I've been here. They do require the closure of East River Road, basically between the fire department and police department. It's basically just an event that consists of vendors with fire prevention, fire apparatus, and emergency provider displays. And so this is on behalf of Chief Holmes. Staff is just recommending approval of the application. We've already got the traffic control thing figured out with the chief, so really no conditions on this one.
Great event. Been going to it since I was a kid.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion
That
passes.
was almost roll call.
Yeah, right?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
That one. Touch the truck maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Item number 2 is another event street closure application for the ECFE Touch a Truck event. And tell us about this one, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this event is put on, David Chansky's been working with the early childhood education folks at the school district on putting this event on. I think this is the 3rd annual. They close off all the streets in downtown and bring in a bunch of military, emergency services, maintenance equipment, trucks, vehicles for kids to get up and close and sit in the driver's seat and be able to look at the big equipment. So the street closure that is being requested is similar as the past. It's Laurel Street from South 6th to South 8th and 7th from Front to Maple. They don't have any power usage. There's no amplified sound. No restrooms are typically provided. The parking, we usually just have people park over on the City Hall parking lot, Judicial Center, the Front Street and Laurel Street lots that are open from the South 6th and the South 8th Street side. Application was passed around to all the department heads, being that David is the one that typically coordinates this event. We usually supply equipment for this too from our street department. So we really just recommend approval under the condition that the event organizers, that being David or ECFE, just make sure we're coordinated with our traffic control about a week prior to that closure.
All right. So the actual street closure is just those 2 hours? Or is it?
Yeah, it usually happens for a little longer because they like to close it early and then get the trucks and everything parked in there. So usually it's around 9 and probably goes till about 12:30. Another, I guess, one I just thought, another condition we should probably put on is notification to downtown businesses, and which I'm sure David will put out a notice to them that this will be going on. The sidewalks remain open in that time, but the streets do get closed. So.
Okay.
Move to approve as presented with the addition of notification to downtown businesses.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Yeah, will any of the vehicles be named?
Yeah,
Could start a petition.
we do have the stickers on order, and they will be on there before we actually get to the snow flying. So that's the hope. I don't know if they'll be named before the event because it's weird. You know, you order stickers and you expect them to come quickly, but it's been one of those things like the rest of what COVID has done to the world. Everything's
shortage.
insane.
Yeah,
Huh?
Sticker shortage.
adhesive shortage, probably.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item is a motion to approve event street closure application for the Flapjack Festival. And I don't know who wants to talk about this one, if it's going to be Paul or Mr. Mayor.
I'll let the mayor do this one.
So technically, this is not my application. So let me pull it up real quick. The city had asked that I do not put in the application, so another member of the Water Tower Committee put in this application. I believe it was Miss Ashley Storm. But the event is to take place on Sunday, the 26th. And it will take place from 8:30 to noon, but really the street closure will just be needed for a short period of time. And I'm trying to find the application, I apologize, to see what time they actually put on there for the street closure itself.
It was 8 to noon.
8 to noon, okay. So, yeah, it'll probably be more like 9 to noonish, but essentially what's going to happen is on the fourth Sunday of every month, the American Legion has their breakfast in the rotation of the various groups. And so this coincides with that. So they'll be serving breakfast from 8:30 to noon inside their building. And then from 10:30 until done, we will be having some events out in the actual street on Laurel Street, a flapjack relay, which is going to be super exciting, the pancake eating contest, and the lumberjack costume contest. So we don't foresee it being too long. Don't foresee it being too much of a huge event. We're trying to keep it as manageable for a small group as possible. But yeah, if you guys have any questions.
I saw an ad on Facebook. Is it
Yes.
now the Paul Bunyan Flapjack first annual contest?
Inaugural, as
Inaugural.
members of the press have informed me, first annual is a no-no. You can't say first annual, because how do you know?
Yet to be determined.
First, but inaugural. So it is the inaugural Paul
Maiden
Bunyan
voyage
flapjack.
of-
Will Paul be there?
Well, I mean,
Paul, are you gonna be there?
Paul will be there dressed as Paul, hopefully.
Could be.
I mean, he's got
still
kind of a
have-
Paul Bunyan look going a little
I still
bit.
have a stand used in an award-winning 4th of July float in my garage, which could be made available.
It could definitely be. So yeah, there will be a speaker with an MC. Bill Satry
Okay, that's
will be there. Yeah, moving on from your comments. There will be a little bit of music and a sound system, very small sound system, and then Bill Satry from B93 will be emceeing the event. So there will be some cheering and whatnot going on, but it should be pretty low key. And by 10:30,
Some open mic flapjack, slam poetry.
I've got some good jokes about pancakes.
I bet.
Yeah.
Well, I move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is another event application, street closure for the Here for Good Market. This is an ongoing activity or weekly event.
Yeah.
And go ahead and fill us in on what they want to do here, Paul.
Well, so we had to put this back on the agenda on the original application. They only had it approved through August 31st, and so they wanted to do one more on September 21st during the events for the sesquicentennial. So because their original application only had it approved through August, we figured we'd bring it back. And it's basically the same event, what they've been doing since the first day of this, and we've really gotten no complaints about it. It's been a great event for downtown, so we're just basically approving it under the same conditions as the original permit.
Got it?
Move to approve.
Second.
Same conditions.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have another event street closure application for Destination Downtown Brainerd Coalition Spooktacular event. And what's this one all about, Paul?
Yeah, so this is actually basically the same street closure as what they do for the Here for Good Market. And so is what we're recommending before I get into any of the details is we just approve the application with the same conditions as the Here for Good Market. Basically, they want to close that section of South 7th. There's going to be a trick-or-treat event, children's activities like pumpkin painting, cookie decorating, vendors selling goods, and live music. So it's very similar to the Here for Good Market, separate event by the DDBC, same street closure, same conditions is what we're recommending.
Perfect. Was this one around last year too?
I don't believe they put this on last year. This is actually, I believe, with they're doing this in conjunction with Visit Brainerd,
Okay.
I think.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 6, approve improvement 21-03 final payment pay application. This one has to do with the large patch project. So Paul, tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, so overall, we ran a number of patches right up to about the maximum amount we could have. You can see the final cost of the project was about $48,937.50. So it came to a total. Let me go back here 1 second. We've got a lot more patches done this year than we have ever have. Knife River gave us a very competitive price. So basically, we budget $50,000 a year in these patches, and this is really for streets or segments of streets that aren't in our 5-year plan. We're really trying to extend the life on them. There are areas with a lot of potholes and things at alley crossings where garbage trucks are crossing, or heavily used intersections that we see more potholes. This reduces the amount of pothole filling we have to do, and it just cuts out a larger piece of pavement and replaces it. We do a lot of manholes and things too, where they're starting to lose the asphalt around the manhole. We do those too. And so this project it's very beneficial. We actually used to only budget $10,000 for this project. It was a budget increase, and I think for the last 2 years now we've done $50,000 because this project is so beneficial in reducing the amount of maintenance hours we have pothole filling, and just doing an actual hot asphalt patch with compaction equipment and all that kind of stuff. So then we'd never have to worry about it until we basically get there for a resurfacing or a reconstruction. So we've seen a huge improvement in how many potholes we're filling every year just by doing this consistently for the last 5 years since I've been here. So
I've had very few complaints about potholes this year.
yeah,
They were all right in the beginning, so.
right. Yeah, they usually pop out in the spring, and then we do this project and we hit the really bad areas that we see pop up every spring. You know, the areas that were small the year before tend to get bigger as time goes on, and so as soon as they get to that threshold, we tend to hit them with this project and get them done, taken care of. So
All right.
Ready with the motion? Move to approve the final pay application to Knife River in the amount of $48,937.50 for improvement 21-03, 2021 large patch project.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we go to our final item on the agenda, is a discussion about quiet zones in a whistle-free city. But that means just train whistles, I assume.
no whistling.
No whistling?
No.
Okay,
Wouldn't mind that sometime.
I'm against it. No, but I've heard some about this, gone through this, but I'd like to hear your take on it, Mr. Engineer.
Yeah, so really we just wanted to bring this forward tonight based on the newspaper article about what the city of Baxter is currently going through, doing an assessment of their railroad crossings at their intersections to see what the costs would be to improve the intersections to make the city of Baxter a whistle-free city. Bringing this forward, we also got an inquiry from one of our planning commission members, and he wanted at least, you know, the city council to consider looking at this. Basically, I did a little bit of research on it. I'm not an expert in this at all. It's basically my understanding that the FRA, which is the Federal Rail Administration, designates zones based on risk-based analysis. So what existing improvements exist today at the intersections, you know, the rail arms, the medians, all of that, you get basically a risk number. And if that's too high for them, they require additional improvements get done to each intersection, or whatever intersection I guess the city would like to look at as far as making a whistle-free intersection. I think they have to be they have to be within a half a mile of each other if they're in multiple If they're within a half mile, they have to be all designated, I think is what I read in that information. So basically, if you were to do East River Road, you'd have to do like 4th and 4th, and whatever that half mile radius is, they would have to be done also, because they don't segment just one intersection and then the next one is a horn zone. They have to be at least a half mile apart, from what I understand, which kind of constrains us in a way because our crossings are so close together. Basically, the city of Baxter has SEH on contract right now to help them through that process. I'm just trying to get a feel if you guys are interested in that, if you've heard rumblings through the community about wanting the city to pursue this. I know I've just gotten one inquiry. I don't know if you guys hear anything else. I think the city would be on the hook if there was too high of a risk at the intersections we designate. We would be on the hook for making those improvements and paying the price to do so. I don't think the railroad participates in that at all. So basically, if any time to do it, it would be now while the city of Baxter is doing their half. It would make sense for us to pursue it if the council is interested. That doesn't mean we have to. It doesn't mean we could just say, nah, we're okay with having train horns in town, but it was just something that I figured I'd bring up. And I attached that informational booklet. There's a whole bunch of information in there. It's a lot to read, but obviously we don't have to make the decision tonight either. So if you guys want to do a little more research on your own or ask questions, we can talk about it again at a future meeting, but.
Yeah. This is something that I'm not going to push. I see it as being something we're going to spend $15,000 on and maybe find out that it's less safe. But I do realize it's definitely a bother to people that are living close to the train tracks. And that's never bothered me growing up in North Brainerd. It's just part of the sound of the city for me. But I can see where if more people, got loud about it and made it known, then sure, go ahead. But at this time, I don't have much of an opinion. Go ahead.
This is something that came up about 6 years ago in front of council. And I know there was a fair number of people that were interested in making it a whistle-free zone, but it was cost prohibitive. So I'd like to see what the costs are, and I'd also like to see, there's got to be data on a before and an after as far as the safety implications go. I mean, you don't want to denigrate the level of safety, but if we could have a whistle-free zone and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg, I think that'd be worth looking into.
I think when I think of it too, and I think of Baxter doing this, they have way fewer sidewalks and crosswalks that involve the railroad. So having that noise, that extra level of safety with the noise is, I understand where people would think it's nice to get rid of that loud noise in the middle of the night when a train's coming by at 3:30 in the morning or whatever it is, but there's a reason for it. And it's been happening in town for 150 years, so. Almost.
Fallacy.
Almost. Or is it over 150 years at this point?
No, the train.
Train
would
were
be-
here
the
first.
train- Yeah, but the train was 150, so.
Okay.
But I don't know if they started off with air horns, so I'm just assuming that they're.
Whistles.
Yeah.
Train noise.
They probably fired a gun near or something.
Into the air.
Explosion.
Just so we're clear, I am 100% against gunshots.
I would like to see what the costs are and see if there is a change in safety levels. Because I know that was the thing is if you have a horn free, you do have to make those crossings way more visible.
Yeah, basically like Cypress Drive. That's
Yeah.
like the newest intersection in town. I don't know what the exact costs were, but I heard it was around $1 million. So, I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking with all of the gate improvements you have to do and the.
And I think if you look at the costs and you have people that are really concerned, you say, well, look, it costs this much. So that's what I'd like to see, is just to see what the costs are and safety implications.
Yeah, maybe if you found a couple examples of some data sets where a city has done it and see if it's cost effective and still safe. That would be probably a
And it might be
starting
worthwhile just waiting until SEH is done with Baxter's assessment to really, because their intersections aren't that similar to ours, but they have the similar improvements at a lot of them. There's a median, they have crossing arms, see what their risk assessment is, and then from there, we could kind of make a value judgment based on what their cost implications would be to make those improvements long-term. And so maybe it's just a wait game. We wait and see if Baxter's study gets done, and we can take a look at it and see what it's gonna cost them long-term,
Yeah.
and go from there.
See if we can learn from
Our neighbor,
Baxter's mistakes or gain from.
right?
Okay. So really no motion going forward on this one.
No, it's just a
Discussion item anyway, so.
discussion direction, I think. Did you have enough direction?
I think so, yeah. I'll do some more research and talk to some other cities that have implemented it to see if what they've seen for costs and.
Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.